So the night before, they were actually painting in their room after having a girls' night. We all kind of hung out downstairs. We were watching movies with some of my friends, and it was just a really good night.
You handled all of the witnesses who observed someone on the bridge the day that this happened.
I
And
didn't handle all of them, but most of them,
a
yes.
lot of them.
Yeah.
And I know none of them identified Richard Allen. The
Yes.
state did not ask them, can you identify this person? But
Yes.
did they even testify? And I just don't recall, and obviously I wasn't there for all of it, but did they even testify that the person they saw on the bridge is the same person in the video who we refer to as Bridge Guy?
Not that I don't remember that
I
happening in
didn't
a
think so
trial. It
either.
didn't happen in deposition. You know, it's one of those calls that you make like it would have been a real, you know, well, I guess theatrical or whatever to say, is this the guy or whatever? But, you know, trial tactics 101, don't ask the question you don't know the answer to. Bree Wilbur stayed the night with Kelsey German and Libby the night on the 12th going into the 13th. And understandably, it would be, as friends, I would not fault her for saying, yes, that's the guy. And then that jury could go say, well, that's all I needed to hear. So it was too dangerous to do that.
Right, but the state not doing it,
The
how
state,
unusual is that?
yeah. I mean, we kept waiting for that to happen.
My morning was pretty relaxed. I got up and my dad decided it was going to be a cleaning day, so we started cleaning the house. Nothing extreme happened. We cleaned the house, and then I decided that I wanted to go out with a group of friends, and that is where we decided to go. I did not post on social media that I was going to the trail. Once we got there, I did take a picture of the bridge and post it up to my Snapchat, but I did not put a caption with it.
Another thing I remember was eating breakfast with her that morning. My dad had made banana pancakes, and we sat there and we ate, and that was our last meal together, and I'll never forget that.
This is purely, an exchange that's on Messenger between us. So, she says here, this will be basically a cut and paste of what my daughter typed to Doug Rice. So I said, okay, and this is just me getting into the conversation with her, not wanting to pummel her up front. So I'll going to the bridge. I keep reading about geocaching. Why did your daughter go there? I've been.
Twice.
I'll get there. I've been there. I've walked all the trails. I just find it interesting. A bunch of kids went there that day. I knew that school was off. Oh. Does Riley have any idea why Libby and Abby actually went out there? And she said it was just a hangout, a pretty place to take Snapchat pictures. I didn't hear anything about geocaching until after all this happened. I'm very doubtful that was the reason why Abby and Libby were there.
Bingo.
I said, me too. I grew up in the country and know about just going out to hang out. But Kelsey said that there were approximately 20 kids. This is me, just please bear with me. Which I think is bullshit. And I said, did Riley know Libby and Abby were going that day? Any plans for them to meet up? Why do you think that they went out there? And she said, Riley went there to take formal pictures one year. The kids just really like going there. Not much else to do in Delphi. I think 20 kids is a gross exaggeration. I personally know that 8 kids were there at one time, including Abby and Libby. I said, I think it's weird the couple witnesses didn't freak out seeing a guy in the woods with a white scarf covering his face. How did Riley feel about that? No, Riley didn't know ahead of time. That's per the going there, that all the other kids were going to be there. She had gone the day before, and since it was warm that day, decided to go again, i.e. Monday. Her younger sister wanted to go.
Izzy.
Riley didn't see Kelsey. However, no, this is interesting. Riley did see Kelsey earlier in the day, but not Abby and Libby. Now, mind you, at that time, Mary didn't know that I knew that Bree was Chase's younger, and Bree was with her, and Bree is Chase's younger sister. So, she said Riley did not see him with a white scarf. She said that he kind of had the lower part of his face obscured, but it just looked like he was overdressed, not actually hiding. And so I said, so therefore it didn't concern her that much. Did Riley say he's the sandy-haired guy that I keep hearing about? Also the weird quotes about not blue eyes. That just seems an odd statement. Do you know where that came from? And did law enforcement speak to Riley? Offer a photo lineup of a PO,
4 times.
a person of interest. I'm sorry if this is all too pushy. Thanks for being open, blah, 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 blah. Was Kelsey on that trail earlier that day? Because she had said that she had seen Kelsey, so I thought it was on the trail. She writes, he seemed rude. That was the only reason Riley even noticed him. She had said hi to a dog walker earlier, and he said hi back. This guy just gave her a look. Riley said yes, reddish hair, and remembered nothing about blue eyes or not having blue eyes. That must have come from someone else. Law enforcement did speak to Riley the night the girls were found, and then I think the next day, or maybe it was the day after. The second time is when she sat with a sketch artist. They did not offer a photo lineup of a person of interest. I think at that point they didn't have one. They have not contacted her since. Kelsey was not on the trail. Riley saw her at Kelsey's boyfriend's house. She is the brother to one of Riley's friends. Now, she didn't know that I knew. We knew about Abby and Libby missing very early because of that, because of the friendship thing, right? So Kelsey would have told Chase, would have told Bree, I assume. Riley's friend messengered Riley almost as soon as the family was concerned. So assuming they all got off the bridge, Kelsey's calling Chase, freaking out. Chase tells Bree, Bree tells Riley. That's what I'm assuming happened. I said, oh, I knew that Bree was with Riley. Is there any truth to the idea the guy looks like Jimmy Duvall? I said, and so the paperboy hat is just truly made up by law enforcement? I really, thank you so much for doing the da-da-da.
What about the Jimmy Duvall? Did she answer that?
She said, and I said, I won't ever mention Riley anywhere in the press, da-da-da-da. She said, when Jimmy Duvall came up, I showed Riley a picture. I didn't do that with all of the FB suspects. I'm assuming that's Facebook.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right, not from the bridge.
Because she's in the groups.
Yeah.
Right, because there were tons of them. But his history, i.e. Jimmy Duvall's, made me ask. He was the only one who Riley said, yeah, that could be him. That's not definitely him, but it could be. Riley noticed a hat that day, but I don't think she really remembered what kind, aside from she didn't think it was a regular winter hat. The hat may just be a grasp.
And he's noticed the hat. Go ahead, Caleb.
Do you know Chad Swank?
Huh?
You know Chad Swank?
I've heard the name.
Oh, okay, go on.
Daniel Pearson said the hat in the sketch is accurate.
Right.
It is a paperboy.
Yeah.
And he's taller than Bridget.
Guys, he's looking out of the hat.
Yeah.
She's shorter than she's looking up, you know. I mean, she's going to get a better look
Just
at
one
the hat.
point that came up in you reading that. I believe that Kelsey acknowledges a phone call to her boyfriend.
Yeah,
en
138.
route, right, which is a connection here. Riley was
The
present at
cheerleaders
boyfriend's
together, man.
house.
Bree will.
Yeah, but it's a
but
connection.
what I find much more interesting is that it sounds to me like Kelsey spent the night or was over with Chase Wilbur on the morning because Riley came over clearly to go pick up Bree. So how does that fit with your 11 o'clock time online that she came down
She went
and
back
asked?
home.
Well,
That's all I can say.
Well, I need-
who knows with the patties, who knows?
After Kelsey had dropped off the girls at the bridge, I was already back home, and Kelsey came over to my house, and then we went out to eat, and once we got back, that is when I found out about the girls.
After I dropped them off, I called Chase and told him that I was on my way. Chase left a little bit before I did. He had to work at 4 and I was working at 4:30, so there was a little bit of a gap, and so I had a little time to sit down and watch a movie with his dad and hang out until it was my turn.
I don't think anybody
can describe it as best you can that day, because you were the one who dropped off your sister to the trail they were eventually found. Their bodies were found at. That day, I mean, I can go start it because I remember a little bit, but you told me that you were at your grandparents' house. They wanted to go hiking. It was a day off from school. School had been makeup day. It was a snow day, extra snow day, so you guys had the extra day off. It was February 13th, 2017, and you said, I'll drive you, because they wanted to go hiking. Your grandparents allowed it, and I guess you could take it from there.
So I was going to go with them, but then I had to work, so I was not able to. So I dropped them off. I said goodbye, told Libby I loved her, made sure they had sweatshirts. Abby and they both actually had my sweatshirts, so that was fun, because then I didn't have one. Then I drove to my boyfriend's house and sat with him while we were both getting ready for work. And while we were there, Chase had finished getting ready, and he had to go to work an hour before me. And since his house was closer to work, I just stayed there and waited. And I sat there with his dad before work. Kind of hung out downstairs. We were watching movies with some of my friends, and it was just a really good night.
Bree Wilbur stayed the night with Kelsey German and Libby the night on the 12th going into the 13th.
Another thing I remember was eating breakfast with her that morning. My dad had made banana pancakes, and we sat there and we ate, and that was our last meal together, and I'll never forget that.
My morning was pretty relaxed. I got up and my dad decided it was going to be a cleaning day, so we started cleaning the house. Nothing extreme happened.
What I find much more interesting is that it sounds to me like Kelsey spent the night or was over with Chase Wilbur on the morning because Riley came over clearly to go pick up Bree. So how does that fit with your 11 o'clock time online that she came down
She went
and
back
asked?
home.
Well,